Good evening, everyone, and it's a matter of privilege to have today masterclass on heat stress thresholds for Indian cities, and this masterclass will be taken by Dr. S.C. Ban, who is a scientist at IMD. So I will just give you a brief introduction about Dr. Ban and about his work. Dr. S.C. Ban is scientist F in the Agromet Advisory Service Division of IMD. He has been associated with the Heat Health Early Warning System of IMD since its beginning in 2015 and integrated it with national, state, and city level efforts through systematic heat action plans. He is also a member of several committees on heat stress management, which includes NDMA and various central and state health departments. He has actively contributed to the computation of temperature thresholds for warnings and introducing color-coded heat health warning systems for impact-based forecast system to manage heat health-related risk. He has been supporting and contributing to policy as a technical expert on heat and human health to Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. He's also a member of National Disaster Management Authority, Task Force for Preparation of National Guidelines for Prevention and Management of Heat Waves in India. He is also a founding steering group member of South Asia Heat Health Information Network. He also represents steering group of Global Heat Health Information Network of WMO and WHMO. He was the chairman NDMA subcommittee on IAC material, communication, and message for heat waves. Before his presentation, I will also like to introduce our guest, Professor Ajit Tyagi, who is a senior advisor IRADE. Dr. Tyagi is a well-known meteorological and climate change expert. His research experience across many areas, which includes operational meteorology, weather forecast, hydrometeorological disaster, early warning systems. He is a PhD in numerical weather prediction. He has played a key role in promoting climate services at national, regional, and global level. He has also held key positions at various levels of Government of India, including serving like Director General of IMD, and also he is assistant. He was actively guiding several research projects in area of climate change and cities in IRADE. So with this short brief on the speakers and the guests, so I'm requesting Dr. Tyagi to please provide the context and please share his opening remarks on this masterclass. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Rohit. Good evening. It's indeed a great day for this initiative, and let me compliment IRADE for launching master classes under South Asian Heat Health Information Network. Now, as you know, in the recent decades, in fact, though the IPCC report has come just 2 days back, we all had been witnessing the impact of increasing frequency, severity of heat waves globally. Right? If you recall, in 2003, the Europe had a severe heat wave where more than 70,000 people died. Just last year, when we were going through COVID, in the background, the heat wave continued to be, and even the last year was one of the warmest year in the history, along with the 2016. The Siberia recorded the record temperatures touching 40 degrees centigrade. Wildfires are taking place in many parts of the world. Spain is currently witnessing one of the severe wild forest fire. So these all are the manifestation of already impacts of the heat waves. And now we have come out with this IPCC reports, the 6th report, which she warns about further increase in the heat waves with the global warming taking place. And these needs to be managed on two levels. One is the mitigation, which is there, of course, to check the global warming. And second is by taking operational interventions by management of heat waves, which is because it is shown, examples are there, including in India, that the deaths, morbidity and mortality associated with heat waves are preventable. Now, it requires a very coordinated efforts, starting from the awareness, early warning system, and of course the capacity building of healthcare workers and necessary cooling facilities being provided and precautions are taken accordingly. So the early warning is a key component to prevent the morbidity and mortality and minimize the deaths. And for that, the thresholds is very important. IMED, India Met Department has got a heat wave criteria, which is essentially based on the climatological long-term data. So it does give us a good idea about the heat waves taking place over the wider region. And they also have sub-classified into hilly regions, coastal regions, and the plain areas. So it does give a first level of idea about the heat waves. But when it comes to taking up interventions, we require precise information and related to the impact which is going to take place. And the studies have shown that it shows wide variation from place to place and months to months. So the thresholds have now become a very important part in heat wave management. And so we had earlier only the IMED criteria for heat waves. Then some cities starting from Ahmedabad related the temperatures with the morbidity and all-cause mortality. And they have come out with the thresholds. And also color coding has been done accordingly as yellow, orange, and the red, depending on the different thresholds of the temperatures for that city. It was followed by other cities where we had good quality of data of Nagpur and Bhubaneswar, but then the necessity was felt that it should be extended to more cities. The NDMA took the lead and the IMED provided the technical expertise along with the IIPH and other researchers, and Dr. Bhan was one of the lead expert, and we are happy that he's here with us to share the approaches which has been done. It's I won't say that this is a final work which is done. They themselves claim it is to be a preliminary study, because we have started with available data which is there both for the weather data and the health data, and there are gaps in this data. So within this limitation, a good beginning has been made. We need to take it to a next level, and that's what this masterclass is going to sensitize people to take up for their cities, collection of data, and also come out with the thresholds which are much more realistic and which could be really implemented to prevent the morbidity and mortality, minimize these things. So with this, we are happy to have Dr. Bhan, who is one of the, I think, initiator in this country to have the thresholds for more than 100 cities. They have followed the WMO criteria of thresholds based on percentile, and to meet Indian requirements, they have extended to 75%, 85%, and 95%, and have come out a very detailed report which has been now published by NDMA. So it's a good beginning, and I'm sure it is being now implemented by these cities, these thresholds, and will be extended to more cities and also will be refined and improved further. So with this, I am really happy on both the accounts that yes, we are having a series of master classes started under SIGN program, because it is very important that we have awareness, capacity building, and share what work is going on globally and also in the South Asian countries, and also convey through master classes to a larger scientific community to take up these problems. So with this remarks, I request now Dr. Bhan to deliver his talk. Bhan Sahab?
Sir, your audio was lost. So can I start, sir?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. And
I must appreciate Bhan Sahab is not feeling too well. So, but he is here to share his work with us. So thank you, Bhan Sahab.
thank you, sir. Respected Professor Tyagi, colleagues from Shaheen and Irade, and other esteemed participants. A very good evening to all of you. Told by Dr. Tyagi, I'm really not well, having flu. I won't say it's COVID, most likely it's not COVID. So I truncated my presentation a bit today. Actual computational methodologies, I think we have to leave for another session, maybe later after these 3 classes we planned in the beginning. So please excuse me for that. It's day 3, my infection is at peak today. But still it was a commitment and notification had gone out, so I thought that we'll do it. And with your permission, I would like to share it now. Is it visible in the full screen?
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you and welcome again. So a bit about the heat thresholds for the Indian cities. It's not exactly as for Indian cities, but the philosophy of heat threshold, why do we need, how do we compute it, and what impacts do they have on the heat wave management system overall. So the main contents are what are the impacts of heat wave and the key components of evaluating these extremes and thresholds, characteristics of identification of the thresholds, why these are important, who are more vulnerable, methods for assessing the risks. And as Professor Tyagi told, the day before yesterday, the IPCC has come up with its 6th assessment report. Though I have not read it, I was not able to read it. It gives some very alarming assessments about heat particularly and other aspects of climate also. And then management plans, how the thresholds can be part of the management plans. Coming to the impacts of the heat waves have varied impacts, starting from the health impact. We take heat rashes, which are very common due to excessive sweating and dirt getting accumulated on the pores of the skin. Heat cramps are painful muscular cramps. Heat exhaustion is when we feel exhausted because of excess loss of fluids and salts along with that, due to prolonged exertion in the hot environment. Heat syncope is similar to heat exhaustion, when we feel a feeling of fainting when we suddenly change our posture or get up while sitting. That also is again because of mineral imbalance due to loss of the salts from the body. And the severe form is the heat stroke, which may even lead to death of the person impacted. That is when the body loses its capability to cool. We cool our body through perspiration, and when perspiration stops, the body starts heating up from the core, and the person gets severely impacted, including the extreme impact of death. And also other health issues, particularly the cardiovascular, kidney-related problems, and those of livers, they get flared up due to prolonged exposure to heat waves. And other impacts on human activities are loss of livelihood and loss of productivity. Food availability and agriculture production is impacted. Buying capacity is impacted because our livelihoods are impacted. People have to stop those working outdoors, their activities have to be stopped. So their earnings are compromised. So food availability, that way the buying capacity goes down. Water quality and quantity both gets compromised. Animal production, their feeding behavior get impacted, and there are additional costs on account of their shelter, feed supplements. Disease-carrying vectors are impacted. That probably is a beneficial impact of heat waves. Some of them get killed or during severe heat waves. Power supply gets impacted in terms of consumption and transmission. Cost of operation of all transports increase. Forest fire, Professor Tyagi mentioned that Europe now, particularly Spain, Italy, and Greece, right now are facing severe forest fires. Health system gets burdened, due to which some of the other operations of health system may get compromised, as resources have to be diverted. And the most of the impact, as in case of all disasters, on the weaker sections of economy, because of limited power and access to the health facilities. They cannot afford some of the amenities required for managing heats. And why are the thresholds are important? The heat thresholds, as we know, are the temperatures above which the human or animal health, their productivity, and the entire ecosystems are adversely impacted. Those are the upper limits of temperature above which the adverse impacts start be reflecting. And a threshold-based early warning system and adaptation system can reduce these adverse impacts as motility, morbidity, and other adverse impacts which are preventable can be prevented. And climate change, as we all know, is resulting the increased impacts of heats. So that also is important, that we have the threshold-based early warning systems, so that the changing climate can be taken care of. What are we dealing with heat thresholds? We in fact are dealing with the events which are in days during the season, and which lies in the tail of a normal distribution. This is a hypothetical distribution of temperature over a city. Most of the temperatures are distributed around the average value of the temperature for a season, maybe for a month or a year. And we are strictly dealing with these temperatures which lie on the higher end of this curve. So those are certain days during the season. So these are the days we have to study and manage. And these temperatures in these ranges have the excess health outcomes, adverse impacts, which are defined in terms of the increased number of rate or the rate of outcomes during the heat waves or the hotter days. And this difference is assumed to reflect the health impacts of heat wave. Though assuming that everything else is equal, but sometimes other underlying diseases get flared up, which are primarily because of the heat waves. So they can be counted as impact of heat waves. Though directly they may not be counted in the statistics. A person may be dying or hospitalized because of his kidney problem, but that got flared up because of the excess temperature, excess exposure to temperature. He was there. So the excess outcomes and the events, these are the two issues we are dealing while dealing with the thresholds. And the characteristics of the heat wave should be atypical. So the ordinaries are not considered heat wave. The temperature, if it is 40 degrees Celsius for the entire month over a city or a region, it cannot be called heat wave. So heat wave have to be not unique, not ordinary prevailing. And these are variations from the normal conditions. And they vary with place to place because the normals vary, and they have an association with adverse impacts on the health. And how to identify the thresholds can be identified primarily by evaluating the meteorological data against some established criteria, which could be deviations from the averages, which could be comfort indices above a certain threshold, or the historical distribution of the temperature above a 90th percentile or 95th percentiles can be termed as heat wave. Or we quantify the adverse impacts on health, the motility, morbidity, or impacts on livelihood. And temperatures above which these adverse impacts are seen can be taken as thresholds. And a combined approach, which is the best one to be adopted. But there are limitations for those studies to be carried out. And meteorological alone options are a fixed threshold, could either be fixed criteria or be relative threshold criteria. These are the two methods we normally. Fixed criteria is one when the temperature exceeds a certain value. Say 40, we have in India 45 degrees Celsius or 47 degrees Celsius. These are the two criterion for defining heat wave in the country, or when they exceed a seasonal distribution value, say 90th percentile or 95th percentile of seasonal temperatures, that can also be termed as a heat wave. Or relative criteria is when we define the extreme thermal or heat wave conditions by location or by the season. Say, for example, deviation from average temperature. A temperature of 40 degrees Celsius could be heat wave in April. It may not be heat wave towards end of May because the normals themselves are high. So that's relative to the temperatures prevailing at that point of time. So they could either be fixed or relative. A general example of fixed threshold, suppose these are the actual temperatures for a season, these orange lines. We define a fixed threshold temperature exceeding 41 Celsius is our threshold for heat wave. That is a fixed threshold. But we can have a relative threshold. This blue line, say for let's assume, are the average temperatures of day to the different days during the season. The temperature above these averages by certain thresholds, say 4 degrees Celsius or 5 degrees Celsius. We take 4.5 here in India. Whenever these exceeds the averages by this value, we define threshold. So that is the relative criteria of threshold criteria for defining the heat waves. And we in India follow both of them. Relative on most of the times, but there is a fixed criteria of 45 and 47 degrees Celsius, assuming that these temperatures, even if they are not relatively warm, are detrimental to human health. And the fixed criteria could also be misleading. This is the land surface temperature estimate through satellites in 2000 on particular day in 2003. It seems that India here and the Sahara both have the same temperature signals. They look equally warm in satellite land surface temperature. These are not exactly the air temperature which we measure. These are the temperature of a surface as seen by the satellite. So here we will have the same temperature if the criteria is same. Both the places will have a heat wave. But in a relative criteria, India would be much warmer because the average temperatures are lower than those of Sahara. If you apply the relative criteria, deviations from the averages prevailing for that point of time, this will look much warmer. And this is more clear here. This is temperature of 4th August maximum temperature. We can concentrate on the left panel here. These are the average temperature distribution over the country. If we concentrate on the east coast, right from north of coastal Andhra Pradesh up to entire Tamil Nadu coast, there are similar temperatures. So fixed criteria would call that temperatures are of equal severity across the east coast of Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. But coming down to the bottom panel, this is the relative criteria. This shows the temperature anomaly from the averages. If we see Andhra Pradesh is relatively warmer in terms of anomaly compared to Tamil Nadu coast, because Tamil Nadu coast during monsoon season is normally warmer than Andhra Pradesh coast. It does not get much of the rain, so warmer temperatures prevail. So this is not so warm compared to the averages, about a degree or 2 degrees warmer than averages. Whereas Andhra Pradesh coast is 3 to 5 degrees Celsius warmer compared to the normal. So this is the relative criteria. If you follow the fixed criteria, both the coast would look equally warm. So that is the basic difference between fixed threshold and relative thresholds. And also, as Professor Tyagi told, we are dealing with the climate change. So the averages are changing. So threshold would also depend on the reference period. If we consider previous normal, which let's assume these are 1950 to 2000 norm averages, this curve on the left-hand side. So this much area would fall in the hotter temperatures. But if we take the new normals, the normals of say 1990 to 2020, this would look, this is a hypothetical curve, this would look like this. And the areas in the extreme hole would be less here. So shifting the averages would also shift the relative criteria occurrence. So maybe we have to change the criteria as the normals change. And why are thresholds important? Because the different temperatures have a different impacts, which varies with acclimatization of the people in living these areas, and also compounded by other weather parameters. These are the two examples. On the left-hand side is Ahmedabad city, a study by Azhar et al. And others in 2014, and on the right-hand side is Shanghai If you see the Ahmedabad case, up to temperatures about 41 degrees Celsius, there is hardly, this is the temperature on x-axis, and y-axis is the number of daily deaths associated with those temperatures. This number of deaths up to 41 degrees Celsius nearly the same every day. This average around 100, though it varies much. But at temperatures above 41 degrees Celsius, the average number of deaths start increasing. From 40 to 45, this is more death, and above 45, very large number of deaths at those temperatures. So based on this study, they carried out, they came out with the thresholds of 41, 43, and 45 degrees Celsius for different levels of alerts, yellow, orange, red alerts. Whereas in Shanghai, if you say that mortality start increasing after say 30 or 31 degrees Celsius, there are very high number of mortality at temperatures above 35 degrees Celsius. So these thresholds vary with the regions, primarily because people are accustomed to different levels of heat. And also Shanghai being a coastal station, maybe humidity is playing a role there. Ahmedabad being an inland station is a dry station. Humidity is not as important as, though it is important, it's not as important as it is in Shanghai. And the deaths are all cause deaths because heat specific deaths are relatively difficult to get from the data. So increase in human casualties due to all regions is taken as a proxy of increase in impact of the heat. So they vary with the region, and they identifying this thresholds based on the health impacts using meteorological health impacts are done through significant increase in health impacts to identify those thresholds and then announce the heat waves based on those thresholds, not on the deviation. Say temperature 41 degrees Celsius in Ahmedabad may have any deviation of a particular day. In April, it will be different. It may be 6 degrees Celsius above normal. In towards end of May, it may be just 3 degrees Celsius above normal, but it will still be called heat wave because it has got adverse impact on the human mortality, morbidity, hospitalization, and these are the proxies to determine those thresholds. And based on that, these criteria are, I'm having some problem. And thresholds also could vary as per different groups. This is a study done in Europe. Heat-related symptoms in male and female population. The response were studied through a survey. And the males and females responded different ways. Heat-related symptoms at different at temperature above certain threshold. Thirst was reported by more women. Women, it seems, are more vulnerable to heat compared to men in terms of all the symptoms, fatigue, dizziness, impaired muscular strength, nausea, headache. The females reported more symptoms at different temperatures above certain threshold. So it looks like they are more vulnerable to heat. And we also did a study in India, in Chandigarh, though the data was limited. Chandigarh is a small city. But if you see the number of deaths increasing at temperatures above 40 degrees Celsius, there is an increase of 7.3% in the male population, whereas the increase is about more than double in female population. Though the total number of deaths in female is still less because more females die. Primarily because though we don't have the data for that, we can assume that more of the females remain indoor during hot weather season and males work outdoor. So total number of men dying is more, but the increase in female mortality above a certain threshold is much more than compared to that in the male. So different vulnerable groups are differently impacted. So the thresholds could be different for them. Similarly, age is another factor. Other underlying people with underlying diseases may have a lower thresholds. So who are more vulnerable? The economically weaker sections, of course, the elderly, children, because in elderly, the thermoregulatory mechanism do not remain so active. In children, they have not developed so far. Women, particularly pregnant and lactating ladies, they are more impacted. People with underlying diseases, those working outdoors, all kind of workers who have to work outdoors, they are impacted more. And in terms of communities, they are the highly vulnerable and urban areas because of heat islands are impacted more. And the communities which do not have that much access to power, water, and sanitation, they are impacted. And those having less amenities at home, and also those who cannot afford. Those are the areas which are impacted, and groups are the groups here on this side. And by cities, various studies world over show. This is study in China. In different cities, the number of deaths, these are the number of excess deaths, excess of average deaths starts here at say 31 degrees Celsius in Harbin, and it starts at 35 degrees Celsius in Nanjing. So it varies with the region. And this is a hypothetical example, because we then study how the risk is relative to a certain fixed temperature. This is a hypothetical curve. It is found that, say, for that city at 20-degree mean temperature, there are least number of variable mortalities, and the risk increases with increase in temperature. It also increases with decrease in temperature on the other side of the curve, but we are interested here in this side of the curve. That is another way of calculating the threshold levels. Maybe this temperature could be one level of alert, and this temperature could be another level of alert for the population. So the relative risk can also be one of the methods for assessing the thresholds. These are percentile-based threshold temperatures in different parts of the world. It is found that over most of the cities, the lowest relative risk is at 75 the percentile. Temperatures at around 75th percentile have the lowest relative risk, and the risk of death increases at temperatures above 75th percentile and also below 75th percentile. And this increase, if you see, is more in colder countries. In Italy, the relative risk increases very sharply with increase in temperature beyond 75th percentile. Also in Spain, the increase is much sharper, where in tropical countries, the relative risk increases, but increases at a slower rate. The study of established thresholds, we all, Professor Tyagi told in the beginning, it started with the city of Ahmedabad in India. In the year 2010, the city had very severe heat wave, temperatures on a day reaching to about 47 degrees Celsius. That was 21st of May. And if you see, these are the maximum temperature of 2010, this red running line here. This temperature, and these are the average temperature of 2009 and 2011, average for both these years. So 2010, if you see, there are very high number of very high temperatures, and if you see the mortality, this blue line is daily death count average over the 2 years, 2009 and 2011. Deaths every day are varying at a level of about 100 per day. But if you see in 2010, this orange or yellow, I don't know what color it is, this orange bars. See, on a particular day, the number of deaths increased to 310. That was 1st of May. So that showed that excess heat leads to excess mortality. That was first study of its kind in South Asia to establish the thresholds. And based on this study, different thresholds were established for Ahmedabad city. Which we saw somewhere here. Yeah, this. So this is outcome of that 2010 heat wave. So they came out with 3 thresholds at 41 degrees Celsius, yellow alert, 43 degrees Celsius, orange alert, and at 45 degrees Celsius, red alert were to be issued. And then there were various studies carried out in our country also. This is study for India. If you see how mortalities are related to heat wave days or mean summer temperature, this red line is mean summer temperature in the country as a whole. And the blue, this black lines are the number of deaths. So if you see, whenever the heat wave days or average temperatures are higher, the death for during those years are also higher. Here, we can see here in 1988 and then 1998, 2005. These are the prominent years. When the average temperatures averaged over the country were above normal, this is the normal line, standardized. On those years, and during those years, the deaths were also high. We can also see how standardized mortality varies with the summer mean temperatures. As the summer mean temperatures goes up, the mortality also goes up. So that's another way of establishing the thresholds. Subsequently, the studies were carried out for some more cities in India. As Dr. Tyagi told, Ahmedabad, after Ahmedabad, it was the Maharashtra who took the lead. And this is study for Nagpur. They also established the thresholds of maximum temperature based on all-cause mortality. And they found the thresholds of similar to those of Ahmedabad at 41 degrees Celsius, 43, but Ahmedabad being a hotter city compared, Nagpur being a hotter city compared to Ahmedabad, the red alerts are given at 46 instead of 45 in Ahmedabad. And similarly for Rajkot, the thresholds were slightly lower than Nagpur. This is a published paper by Golecha and others. And then thresholds can also vary depending on the definition of the heat waves, how we define the heat wave. These are the heat wave, different heat wave definition. This is IMD definition, the standard definition of IMD, temperatures above normal by 4.5 degrees Celsius at least, and then different percentiles of temperature, and this is the relative risk of time. A different definition of the thresholds, the relative risk increase. So it is up to the cities or the states to adopt different definitions of the heat wave, so that they come to know the relative risk of their population, and then they define their management practices. This is another way of, this is a group from IIT Mumbai and others. So they carried out these studies about 2 years ago. And then a nationwide attempt was done, coordinated by NDMA primarily, and participated by IMD and Indian Institute of Public Health, Gandhinagar. So we carried out a preliminary study of estimation of thresholds about 100 cities. These are the cities spread across the countries. We targeted to establish mortality-based thresholds in the country. But what we encountered, the difficulty, the meteorological data were available, the mortality-related data were not available. The mortality-related data were available for a very few cities, about 7 or 8 out of 100. Then other strategies were adopted. So time series analysis of temperature and mortality out of 8 cities data were available. We could do only for 5. For remaining 3 cities, there were hardly any difference in mortality at different temperatures, and all of them were coastal stations. So at coastal stations, we have to consider other parameters, particularly humidity and wind. So temperature-based thresholds could be established only for 5 cities. We adopted thresholds based on previous studies done, so no new study was done for those 2 cities. For the remaining 97, 93 out of 97, 4 we could not do because there was no variation in thresholds. The thresholds were defined based on 75th percentile, 85th percentile, and 95th percentile of seasonal and monthly thresholds. So this is one example for Nagpur, 41, 43, and 46. This is mortality based, and this is percentile based thresholds for New Delhi for different months, for yellow alert, orange alert, and red alert. So they vary with the months. In April, the warning should be of red alert should be given at 43 degrees Celsius, whereas in May it could be at 45. Also, because in the beginning the thresholds have to be lower, because any temperature in the beginning of the season are warmer. Same temperature will be very much warmer than averages in the beginning of the season than at the peak of the heat wave. And also the heat waves are known to have more impact in the beginning of the season than at the peak of the season. When the season suddenly starts, the impacts are more pronounced. If you remember correctly, in 2019, the first heat-related death in the country was reported in the month of March itself. So in the beginning of the season, the thresholds have to be slightly lower. And that also is reflected in data. These are the cities. For the different cities and for different months, the thresholds were established for 96 cities based on either mortality or on percentile. These 4 stations in Karnataka did not exhibit any variation in number of deaths with different temperatures. So we could not find the thresholds for these cities. So that was left. That's another exercise to be done by somebody. Maybe we combine the impact of temperature, humidity, and also wind if available to find the thresholds for these cities. And if you compare these different criteria for established thresholds, the meteorological criteria everything has got its own strengths and weaknesses. The meteorological criteria based only on temperature, either fixed value or its deviation from averages, it's easy to operate, it's easy to set, it's easily understandable. If temperature above a certain threshold or above a certain value, we call it heat wave, or above a certain deviation from a certain normal, that can also be defined. It can be proactively combined with weather forecast to provide advice. That is another advantage. But the weakness is that it failed to account for the impacts. The same temperature may have different impacts on during different parts of the season and over different parts of the country. So it really does not take into consideration into that. But combining meteorological and health impacts, the criteria have the benefits that they are based on the impacts, so they are more accurate. They are flexible. Assessment methods can be based on available data, maybe visual evaluation, maybe regression, maybe evaluating the relative risk based on the data. So different methodology and based on different percentiles, they can be, they are also proactive. Criteria established can be combined with weather forecast. They can help target specific groups and specific impacts on different communities. They have that benefits. Weaknesses approach is a bit difficult to explain. Availability of health impacts are an issue in India. We don't get the data so easily. Outreach and education messages sometimes become complex. Say last month you gave warnings at 41 and this time you are giving only at 43. So public awareness has to be more intense in this case. But it should be done and it can be done. And it's being done in some parts of the country. And the characteristics of thermal vulnerability, we discussed the age, gender, poverty, physical fitness, relative restriction in mobility, chronic condition, extended direct exposure. Those are the conditions which define the personal risk to the different level of population. And the options, as we discussed earlier, are the epidemiological studies. We evaluate the historical association between excess temperature and excess adverse impacts in terms of motility, morbidity, loss of livelihood, loss of productivity. We can generate the relative risks. The conditions can be generated for different risk groups and different study methodologies based on heat wave extremes, their relative departures, the relative risk. They can be combined with epidemiological data to come out with the health risks. And the future, coming to very briefly on future risk, as climate change is happening, the temperature extremes are happening more frequently for more longer duration. They are coming earlier in the season. So larger populations and their horizontal extent is also increasing. So larger populations are expected to be impacted in future. They are in fact, the impacts have started showing up in recent past decades also, and they are going to increase. Larger risk for older population and more younger population which are exposed would be large. Severe extreme events we expect to be more, so there will be more in the season, and maybe reaching the important thresholds without adaptation. As the climate is changing, maybe it will outpace our adaptation methods and adaptation measures. So that's another risk. So we have to speed up our adaptation mechanisms so that the risks can be minimized. And the overall risk and impacts, we should anticipate the increase in standard of living that has to be taken into consideration while evaluating the risks and adaptation measures. Then conditions should be accurately predicted to provide impact notification and response programs, and adaptive response, including the heat wave early warning. That's more important. Heat wave early warning system and a response program, which are the heat wave action plans, could help minimize the future impacts. If the thresholds are properly established, actions to be taken on part of different managers and the likely impacted groups, which form part of the heat action plans. If they are put in place well in time, they can help minimize the adverse impacts. And then active evaluation of weather forecast using results of heat wave should be done. Then we should provide clear advice in terms of action to be taken, what to do and what not to do, avoid what doing do's and don'ts. And we should also know, as a part of heat plan, who are more vulnerable, where do they live, and what are the targeted actions for those groups, and help provide relief and from the heat well in time. And based on that, the heat action plan, I think that will be covered in some of the other plans. This I've taken from Ahmedabad heat action plan. Prime component any heat action plans are number one, the heat early warning system. We should have a heat wave early warning system. that should be based preferably on impacts, if not in impacts based on the temperature deviations from averages. Public awareness and community outreach is very important. People should be aware about the adverse impacts, do's and don'ts, and those managing the heat wave should also know their role, what to do in what conditions and at what times, because timely preparedness is important. Capacity building of the medical professionals in terms of their trainings and equipping them with all the necessary things is important. And also the medium and long-term adaptation measures that includes greening of the city, adaptation of the pool roofs, shifting the wards, heat-related wards to a cooler place in hospitals, maybe cooling arrangement within the systems. They need to be put into place for an effective heat wave action plan. And a sport-based mechanism should have a casualty reporting mechanism, which we right now do not have a very robust capacity reporting system, though it has started taking some shape in very recent past. So we are getting better data now compared to earlier one. It should be backed by pre-season and mid-season preparedness reviews and campaigns. We should consider special events, that large pilgrimages, maybe elections. We had last 2 years elections during hot weather season. Education and awareness programs have to be a continued mechanism, starting much before the season and through the season, through different mechanisms, and display at different places where more people frequent. And these are some of the do's and don'ts carried out by campaign by the NDMA. And they should also be done in regional language, because the people who are impacted more by heat waves are not necessarily the ones who know the English. So it's important to carry out during the hot weather season in the local languages, different campaigns. And overall the impacts of all these things are done in the country now. If you see the impacts, these are the heat related casualties starting from 1992, since when we have the data. 1998 was the year during this period where the maximum number of mortalities took place, that exceeded 3,000. But because we were either not so well prepared or not so aware about the impacts and how to manage them, maybe early warning system were not so well developed, it continued. And then came the year 2010 in Ahmedabad, where a lot of casualties occurred, and 2015 for the country as a whole, where more than 2,000 casualties took place in the year 2015. And after that, the NDMA, IMD, and other agencies came together. They put in place the heat action plans over different states and cities. And after that, the number of heat-related casualties is going down consistently. 16, it came down to 1,100, then it's going down. 2020, just 4 casualties were there. And this year, so far, there have not been any heat-related casualties. But these last 2 years have a caveat. Due to nationwide lockdowns, probably outdoor activities were not taking place at that scale where they used to take place. So we have no place for complacency. We have to be as alert as we are, or we have in the recent past, to manage the heat waves. But the impacts are visible, we can put it this way. And the campaigns have to be started well in advance. This is a very good example. It's an example of Glasgow and London. These are the temperatures. The blue line are the actual temperatures day to day of June to August 2018. The blue temperature, and this, I don't know what this magenta color or purple color, whatever it is. These are the Google searches by the people for the term heat wave. So whenever the temperatures are high, people search for the heat waves, how to manage those heat waves, what are the heat waves. I don't have the break of the queries, but all related heat queries were more when the temperatures were high. So we have to sensitize the people well in advance. They start looking for the methods to how to manage those heat waves, how to get the information. So people have to be informed well in advance what could be the impact, how to access the forecast, what to do, what not to do, where the public amenities available, whom to contact in case of a heat action plan, and how to take care of the vulnerable population. It has to start well before the season. And if you summarize, the evaluation of the thermal extreme event conditions and their impacts can help reduce mortality and morbidity. The examples are there world over, including in India. And then we also now start working on evaluating the adverse impact on the productivity. That is not so well done in our country. We have to start because productivity is adversely impacted, and climate change is likely to impact the heat wave and heat related impacts adversely. So we need to generate the scenarios, what would be the scenario in terms of heat wave and their impact, and start adopting for those kind of measures to be required. So, and larger, and our population is getting older, so the risk will increase, and therefore the adaptations, particularly thresholds or impact-based notification and response programs, which are the heat action plans, they might help us control the anticipated increase in these outcomes. Thank you. Thank you, sir. I will stop here. Professor Tyagi.
Yeah, thank you, Bhan Saab. I think you have gone in such a great detail despite of your not so good health. So thank you so much. And you have
Sir,
covered
if I can submit here before you conclude, I think we will have a class on the computation methodology separately. For this
okay, okay, positively.
Thank you, sir.
Positively. Okay. And you have covered, I think, not only the thresholds, but entire gamut of heat wave management part of it. So that's great to give an overview. And you have rightly brought out the vulnerability, which is important because as of now, we are taking a first level of vulnerability, but then you have highlighted from Chandigarh studies and otherwise also reported that vulnerabilities of women, elder people, poor people, children. So we have to may have to look at the different thresholds for these. And the cities with the urbanization, urban heat island is there. So within the city, also there could be thresholds for different wards. So we have started, made a great beginning. And as more data, as you brought out, is very important that we have good quality data for both socioeconomic part of it, vulnerability part of it, health data, and meteorological data at the granular level to refine our vulnerability. And the challenge, of course, is going to be the climate change because each degree centigrade increase, as you see your graphs, which have been the temperature versus mortality is exponentially increases. So 1 or 2 or 3 degrees centigrade may look very simple, but beyond 45 to 47, 48, the number of deaths could be exponentially increasing. So the cities have to plan the cooling measures to be taken in order to bring down those temperatures, or all necessary measures for mitigation and adaptations needs to be done. So that is another ball game. But yes, threshold is the key because the early warning systems defined thresholds leads to a very, very targeted action to save lives. And second thing is that human health, we have to look into also the health of the livestock and many other productivity, as you mentioned. So the threshold for them also needs to be worked out, that how does that impact. So this, I'm sure there will be some questions from the participants or the audience. So we'll take them. Would somebody come up with those questions which have come on the chat box or question answers?
Would Rohit or somebody like to read out the questions? Or
Okay, let me do that. One is how do we calculate heat wave days?
Should I respond to that, sir?
Yeah, please.
Okay. The system of calculating heat wave days in India is based on its deviation from the average of that particular day. Say, for example, today is 11th of August. For today, there is an average temperature based on the average of all the 11th August of last, say, 30 years. there is an average temperature of the day, which say, for example, is 32 degrees Celsius. And if this temperature is above 32 degrees Celsius by 4.5 to 6.4 degrees Celsius, we call it heat wave. So 32 plus 4.5, that becomes 36.5 degrees Celsius. And if it is above average by more than 6.5 degrees Celsius, somebody speaking? If it is more than average by 6.5 degrees Celsius or more, we call it a severe heat wave. But there is a condition attached to this. With these departures, the temperature should also reach 40 degrees Celsius at least. So if a 32 degrees Celsius temperature with a departure of even 7 degrees Celsius will not be qualify as a heat wave because the temperature has not reached 40 degrees Celsius. This is for the plains. For the coastal areas, that limit 37 degrees Celsius, because coastal areas, the impact because of high humidity starts earlier. And the hills, the limit is 30 degrees Celsius. So when actual temperature reaches 40 degrees Celsius, it's in plains, 37 degrees Celsius in the coast, and 30 degrees Celsius in the hilly areas, and it is above normal by 4.5 degrees Celsius, we call it a heat wave. And also the second criteria is that when the temperature reaches 45 degrees Celsius, despite any departure, we term it as heat wave, and at 47 degrees Celsius, we term it severe heat wave. That happens in central parts of the country. Take, for example, Nagpur. The temperature in the month of May, entire May, average temperatures are 43 degrees Celsius. So if 45 degrees Celsius, though the departure is just 2 degrees above normal, will qualify to the heat wave. So that is the difference. So a mix of fixed criteria and a flexible criteria, both.
Thank you, Dr. Bhat. We have two questions from Dr. Mahapur. The first one is regarding Chandigarh. He's asking regarding gender differences in mortality for the case of Chandigarh, whether exposure conditions and the duration was same for both males and females.
No, sir. That I think qualified. We did not have that kind of the data. These are the absolute numbers, irrespective of their exposure. So whatever assumptions are possible, we can make it. So that way, it is not a very quantified study, but it gives a very general idea that yes, at temperatures above certain thresholds, females are impacted more. So that we can say, but it's not very quantified in terms of their exposure conditions.
Okay. Second one is, what is the source of daily mortality data? Is it available online?
Now we obtained through our Chandigarh office from the Chandigarh Municipal Corporation records, sir. Daily mortality data are not available online for any city in the country, and that's the biggest handicap, sir. We need to have a campaign, sensitize the registrar of deaths and births. If daily mortality data can be provided, that will be a great help for different cities can then have their thresholds. Meteorological data is relatively easily available. Mortality data are not. So we obtained it from Municipal Corporation of the city. And same was the case for Nagpur, for Rajkot and Ahmedabad, Bhubaneswar and Hyderabad. All the cities where we have the mortality based thresholds, the local bodies provided this data.
Thank you. Even case of COVID also, the same problem is being experienced. So there is some systemic weakness in reporting the deaths. Hopefully it get addressed now. It will help the heat wave studies also. Okay.
And
okay,
sir,
Ridhima would like to know.
If you can permit me here a small intervention, sir. I'd, request all the participants. It could be all-cause mortality. Even if you have the daily hospital admissions data or daily hospital OPD visits data of the city, they can also be taken as a proxy to because any sudden increase on hot days, that assumption goes world over that these excess admissions or excess visit to the hospitals or excess mortality or contributed by heat wave at least. They may not be direct impact, but though there is a contribution of heat wave. So they can be taken as proxy to establish thresholds.
Okay, so we are nearing the time. So the last question, which is about unusually high temperatures in northern Canada this year. Vancouver recorded some 49 degrees centigrade. What could be the reason behind it? Of course, it is
the immediate reason, sir, was a stagnant high pressure area over that, which remains stagnant over the area, and high pressure areas have a characteristics that Number one, they lead to what they call heat dome. The heat does not goes out of that area, and because high pressure areas also lead to subsidence of the air. The air virtually descends down in that column of the air. And for every 1 kilometer descent, the air warms up by 10 degrees Celsius. So if there is a net descent of 2 kilometers, the air warms up by 20 degrees Celsius approximately. So stagnant high pressure areas was the reason for that high temperature. And it happens in the extratropical on some region. On some of the days during the season, if it is prolonged, like this year, it caused that kind of heat waves.
Okay, the last question is about what is the impact of heat waves on the land surface temperature or vice versa?
So it's a method. How do we look at the temperature? Normally, for the audience, I will tell you what we measure is the temperature of the air measured in shade. What is reported today, say Delhi today maximum temperature is 40. Say today will be around say 36 degrees Celsius. The 36 degrees Celsius is the temperature of the free flowing air measured in shade. Whereas if we measure the temperature outside of the road down, or we sense it from the top, maybe from a drone or an aircraft or a satellite, that will be much warmer, because the air gets, the ground gets heated up due to radiation, which heats up the air which comes in contact with it, and then we measure the temperature of the air in shade. Whereas the land surface temperature measured by the satellite is the temperature of the surface itself. It's not of the air. So during peak of the days, the land surface temperature will be warmer normally. Whereas early morning, just towards end of the night, it happens that air could be warmer than the surface. The surface could be a bit cooler. So those are estimates of the surface. Whatever the satellite looks at, if it is a vegetation, it will give temperature of the vegetation. If it is a built-up area, it will provide us temperature of the built-up area. When the temperature meteorologically reported is temperature of the air measured in shade. That is the difference.
Well, we have crossed 5:30's deadline, but I'll take the last questions. It is in what extent the heat wave impacts on ecosystems and biodiversity conservation?
Okay. That's a much larger question, sir. But the impacts are, as of now, very general, not very measured. The ecosystems are impacted in terms of adverse impact on the useful fauna and flora. Some of them are not used to that kind of temperatures, and because their adaptation capability is not as high as of the higher animals in the animal kingdom, human beings and other animals, they cannot adopt. So some of the species which are otherwise useful get extinguished over a period of time, and it's happening regularly. Forest fire are, outcome of hot weather and heat wave days, and that leads to other destructions. Water bodies are adversely impacted, and supply of water for all purposes, including vegetation in that area, that is adversely impacted. It's more generic. The quantified impacts are really not there so much. But there is direct relationship between forest fire and number of hot weather days, particularly in the extratropical countries. It's very well quantified. The hotter areas, hotter years are having more forest fires. And the animal kingdom is adversely impacted.
Thank you so much, Bhan Saab, for taking all the questions and
thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
I know must have been a tiring.
Anyway, sir, I could manage. I could do. Thank you.
So your josh and energy is really appreciated, and thank you so much. And I'm sure some of our participants would like to get in touch with you, so we'll put your email ID
sure, sir.
To get in touch with you. So I thank you in person and request Rohit to conclude this very, I think, successful webinar or the masterclass. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think nobody could have provided such insights the way you have provided in a simpler language. And we have an audience which was ranging from researchers to students and also to meteorologists and also to policymakers. So I think addresses this kind of disparate audience in one lecture. I think I would really like to congratulate you to present in a manner that everybody is able to understand and interpret the topic. And thank you so much, sir, for your comprehensive presentation.
Thank you, Rohit.
And we look forward to another masterclass, as you suggested, where we focus on the methodology aspects of heat stress thresholds. I think we, sir, need to have some more suggestions. We are also inviting suggestions from the participants on possible topics for the master classes. So we are requesting participants to also suggest or reach out to us and suggest if there are particular topics which are of interest. We'll definitely deliberate on the same, and if there is a wide demand on the same, we'll take it up. I would like to thank you participants from across the South Asian countries and also even globally for participating in the masterclass. So masterclass, Sahin masterclass is part of this masterclass. We are planning to organize a series of masterclass on topics associated to the heat stress and heat waves. So please, please register also for the future upcoming heat stress. The masterclass on climate adaptive heat action plan, which is our next webinar, in which we talk about what kind of framework and methodology is to be put into practice for developing a climate adaptive heat action plan. That session is on 25th of August. So we will share the details of the masterclass. And further on 2nd September, we have another masterclass on very important topic of early warning systems for management of heat stress. So very pertinent and important topic. And as the IPCC report is an eye opener for many, but obviously we have been witnessing this kind of scenario in terms of rising temperature in the cities, increase in number of heat islands, and we are really happy and congratulate NDMA, National Disaster Management Authority, and IMD for taking leadership in further work with the state and the city administration for developing and implementing heat action plans. What as Sahin South Asia, as a Sahin South Asia Heat Health Information Network, we like to take this lesson to wider audience in the South Asian countries, and we are also requesting the participants of the South Asian countries to come forward, and also will be we will be happy to provide assistance in taking these heat action plans and to the other countries in South Asia. So we are looking forward to growth of this network and taking important issues, awareness and capacity building on heat stress management in South Asia. So with these words, I thank you, our key speaker, our key presenter, Dr. Ban, and the moderator and our chief guest for the session, Professor Ajit Tyagi, for his guidance and support and managing the session. Further, I would also like to thank all my colleagues who worked hard to make this masterclass possible. So we are looking forward to continue this series of masterclass. I thank you again for your time, inputs, and participation in this masterclass, and we look forward to have more masterclasses in near future, and we welcome your participation in these masterclasses. With these words, I thank you, all of you again, and close this masterclass session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rohit, and thank you, Tyagi sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
And participants can subscribe to Sahin newsletter. It's a fortnightly newsletter. To update Rohit, you can provide the links to others.
We have provided the links in the chat box to register, and we'll also send more information about the news mailer to all the participants. Sir.
That will be great. Thank you, Rohit. Thank you.
Thank you
you,
so
Bharat.
much, sir. Thank you, everyone. Sir.
Take care,
Thank you.
Bharat.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Namaskar, sir.